thank you all for doing this, to say the least. Exciting movie you've got. And the first thing I like to ask every actor, producer, writer, etc. these days is, when was this film actually finished?
We finished post-production late last year. So 2019.
2019. And then how long was it having it finished to having a release date to actually this current release date of December 1st?
I think we kind of knew in the summer that we were going to come out in December, like late summer, I believe. Yeah. So, luckily it all sort of happened before the pandemic. So, and we were all in talks with distributors early this year. So it didn't, I mean, obviously it's affected the world and the movie world and everything, but it didn't affect the sort of timeline of Antarctica, really.
Except for the fact that we didn't really have an opportunity to do theatrical, which is definitely something we would have done, and also perhaps pursued more festival opportunities. We may have, the date might have changed if we had more festival opportunities, but since there was no exhibition possible because of COVID, we just made the decision to go to VOD, and because we're all in a virtual world now with this 2020 reality we live in, making the best of it. Yeah.
Now, who knew who from this production before it happened? Because I know that Kimie, this is her first starring role per se, but did you know everybody?
This is my first film ever, so I didn't know anybody.
So you didn't know Chloë?
We met during casting, but prior to this, I knew nobody on this call.
And then Chloë, did you know anybody involved in the film before it started being made?
Yeah, I knew Bubba Weiler because we did a film called The Ranger together, but I think that was it. So
yeah, the casting brought us these lovely people, and Keith's search, because he had something very specific that he was looking for. Keith and I knew each other because we had met at MoMA, I think at a new director's new film event, because we both had films in that program before. And so we were at some sort of event and someone introduced us, and I just adore him, and he's so creative and so talented that I was just waiting for an opportunity to work with him. And then he sent this script along, and so here we all are talking to you.
Right. And again, I have the distinct honor and pleasure of speaking with all of you. And this film is associated with Comedy Dynamics. I've interviewed Brian Volk-Weiss before. I've interviewed a lot of comedians that have put out albums through Comedy Dynamics, but I never really saw it as producing films, just stand-up comedy. So when in the process of this film did Comedy Dynamics come on board?
Well, my company, Breaker Studios, did some distribution work with Comedy Dynamics on a lot of their titles with our digital distribution platform. So we already had a relationship with them, and they're such great people, and I just really love them. I love their down-to-earthness. I love their taste. And when it was time for this film to start having conversations about distribution, they had known that we were in production on a couple of different things. And this was, a comedy, I guess, right, Keith? I mean, it's got,
yeah, it's more comedy than not, for sure.
Right, exactly. I'm not sure I'm not sure that's the genre that we put out first, but yeah, and it was just, one of those things where they were very, very interested in the film, and as relationships go in this biz, we thought it was a really good partnership for a lot of obvious reasons. So
yeah, it is comedy-ish. It's comedy-tastic, I would say. When you see the trailer, it opens up, without spoiling too much, a fake reality show that pretty much could have been a reality show modern day, and then a pharmaceutical commercial that really could be a pharmaceutical commercial. So it's very impressive that you did all of that. Is the cut of the trailer that we see the cut all along, or did it take a lot of refining to get there?
It's interesting. I would say it was like that particular trailer was lots of notes on Kim Jackson and my part and Breaker's part, and notes, and then it sort of came out fully baked.
Right.
So, which I think is a good way to work, as opposed to like micromanaging every little thing they do. And the other trailer was cut by me and one of the production staff. So those two separate trailers. So one of them is sort of my cut, but the one you're speaking of was that was an interesting process, but both sort of different sides of the filming. I like movies that have more than one trailer because, hopefully a movie should encompass more than what you could give away in 2 minutes,
Right.
So.
Now, Chloe, what part of the world am I getting you from at the moment? Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Arizona right now, in Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, Arizona. Where was the movie filmed in relation to Tucson?
Very far east. I mean, we shot it in upstate New York. So quite a ways away, I would say, in relation to Tucson.
Yeah, so you auditioned by video, or is it a traditional kind of audition for you?
I mean, I am a New Yorker. I just happen to be in Arizona right now because it's where my mom lives. But yeah, I was able to audition in person and, have a chemistry reading with Kimie and meet everyone in person in New York. Yeah.
Chemistry reading. I'm not an actor. I've interviewed a lot of actors, but what exactly is that kind of meeting a process like? Is it over coffee?
Well, so I guess it varies. I mean, there are directors who don't even show up at callbacks. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas my feeling is, if the movie camera kind of sees inside of a person, an actor, no matter how good they are, there has to be that level of something that is similar to the character. There's going to be an understanding, and also it's such an intimate working relationship between an actor and a director that I have to know who this person is. So, I mean, the first step with Chloe was, I think even before she read for it, I had known her work, and we met in the Lower East Side for lunch. And I had like 2 margaritas and she had 1 iced coffee. And I thought, well, is it wrong for me to be drinking at lunch with this actor? But she really loved the script. She really understood it. And I really got a good vibe from her. And she seemed very smart and perceptive. And so from there, that's when I wanted to see her read. And from there, I think I had pretty much cast Kimie at that point. So I wanted to see Chloe and Kimie together along with a bunch of other actors for Chloe's part, just, like that were interested in the part, to see if they look like friends. I mean, it's like you can tell in a movie when people like each other or love each other, or hate each other. I mean, that's why so many romantic comedies fall flat. It's like you get the feeling in no way in the world would these two people actually be together, or you can sense that they're just, waiting for their Friday paycheck. So that was important that they liked each other, and they do. And they did almost immediately, I think.
Cool. Well, Kimie, you said first film. How exactly did you wind up in a film? When I look at you on screen, I don't think that it's your first film, and that's intended to be a compliment.
Thank you so much. I have been a professional actor for a while, but I've been mostly in the realm of theater, which is a totally different beast. And
Right.
There was definitely a steep learning curve for me about acting on camera. And thank you to both Kim Jackson and Keith for taking an opportunity on somebody so green and like, just being so willing to go for that. For me, it was a friend of mine actually sent me the audition notice that was posted on backstage.com. And I didn't even have a Backstage account at that point because I'm a bad actor. And so I made one and I sent in the submission to Keith, and then he got back to me, sent me the script, and I loved it. And then he was like, great, so can you tape these couple of scenes? And I did. And then he brought me in for a callback in New York, which lasted a really long time. I think it's the longest callback I've ever been at for anything. It was like an hour. And then from there it was like chemistry reads with Chloe and with Bubba, and then it happened, and it was really exciting and beautiful.
When you mentioned before, I'll ask you in a second, Keith, but when I
Sure.
asked you about theater, because you mentioned, well, it's different than film. One of the things that I've heard from people who do Broadway is there's not only a lot more hand movements per se, but you're playing to like a bigger emotions in general. Is that
Yeah,
one?
sure. I mean, you're playing to the back row, and if you're in a theater like a Broadway-sized theater, that's like feels like football fields away from you. I have been lucky to do some more intimate theater with um, that's not, we don't have to get that far reaching, but I also have done like outdoor theater like Shakespeare in the Park, not the one in New York, but in Philadelphia, where you still have to be reaching people all the way across the park. So yeah, it is, we call it playing to the back row. So it is bigger and you have to be louder and everything. But with one of the things that I found with film is that like oftentimes the camera is like right here in your face. And also the lens is slightly reflective. So you're seeing yourself act, which is awful, just awful. But
But
yeah,
you get used to it.
you get used to it, and it's a totally different beast. It opened up my acting in so many different ways. And when I returned to do more theater after shooting this, I feel like I had grown a lot, and I just become a better actor overall. So yeah.
Great to hear that. Now, Keith, I cut you off there, which is extremely rude,
Oh,
not
it's fine.
nice. So the floor is yours again.
It's interesting because when Kimie talked about our callback, I had completely forgotten that one of the things that I made them do at the callback was, there's a scene in the movie where Janet has a very kind of a breakdown and is kind of losing it, and she's screaming and crying. I made you scream and cry. I was
Yeah.
like, that scene in the script, I want you to let it rip, and that's probably pretty intense for an actor.
That was the hardest one. I struggle with crying on cue a lot. So I did that one, and I was like, I didn't feel good about that. Could we have another shot at it? But yeah, no, there was a lot of screaming and crying, and we were in a building that does a lot of auditions for a lot of different projects, and so there's like 18 trillion girls in like tap shoes and cute dresses standing in a line outside, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll just start screaming. It was also like a couple of weeks after Aretha Franklin had died, and someone was singing one of her songs, and it was like, a little early.
I think that puts perspective to everything when you make that reference to a big celebrity loss like that. And what I was calling back to before about how long this film has been done for, is it just for everybody? I assume it is, but is it a big like sigh of relief, like, this work is finally out like I think it is?
Keith?
Oh, yeah, but it just, when a movie's released, that's a whole nother, it's like your kid going to school or something. It's a whole nother set of things to think about and worry about. It is definitely a relief, and it's fun. Like last night I was at my friend's house and they watched it on their projection screen TV, and with the subtitles on and everything, and that was really fun. And you feel more like an audience member at a certain point, but it's kind of never done. It's at this point, it's that the challenge for especially for Kim is now to get the movie to its right audience, and make sure that not only the movie is good, which is done, but that people get to see it. So that's a whole nother step.
I don't know. For me, it was like proof. It was like telling people for a couple of years, yeah, I did this film, and I'm like, I feel like my friends are thinking that I've been lying this whole time. And it's finally out, and I'm like, ha ha ha.
Welcome to the process of movie making. Sometimes studios hold on to films for release for a long time, depending on what's going on in the climate. So, this happened, I guess, in some ways later than we wanted, but also
Right.
given the fact that it could have had some more theatrical exhibition, we wouldn't be at VOD probably right now. And I think it's perfect timing. It's like kids, I say kids, but young kids the kids are they're applying for college right now. They're all stressed out. Like all of the young kids that I know that are graduating high school in this strange year, they're so stressed out applying for schools. And so they see film, they relate, they're telling all their friends, laugh, all these moments. I love things like soundtrack, which I was so excited that they even picked up on. And so I think my internet is unstable, it says, so hopefully you can hear me.
We hear you just all good.
Yeah, so now the goal is just to do what we're doing with you, Darren, is talk about it and get the message out there far and wide and create a little, brush fire that turns into a huge blaze, because we're getting really, really great responses from audiences and film cinephiles, and it's really been encouraging. I think it's not your average film. It's not a cookie cutter film. It's not formulaic, and that's what we're up to at Breaker. We don't, we look for those sort of counterculture, unique story perspectives, and we're so proud of this film, and it's just so positive, and it's so on time. A friend of mine watched it who is in the biz, and he wrote me a note yesterday, and he said, this film is so on time. So getting back to your release date, it's one of those things where it's like serendipitous sometimes when a film comes out and hits that right zeitgeist, and I think that it's right on time.
Well, of course the focus is on Antarctica. Wait, actually, how does everyone say? Do you say Arctica or do you say Antarctica like a New Yorker, like with the broken pronunciation?
I guess I say Antarctica, but it's one of those things you don't think about it until someone. So.
Well, I'll ask Chloe, and then I'll ask my next question for everyone. How do you say it?
Now I'm in my head. Antarctica. That's how I say it.
Okay.
That's wrong.
I just want to make sure I wasn't the only person butchering the pronunciation of the continent and all that.
I haven't thought about it, but now you're making me think about it.
Well, because there's been such a lag in terms of, making the movie and it coming out, and the focus is on this movie per se, but I wanted to give everyone the floor to say what else that they're working on at the moment that we should be looking for, and what social media handle they should be looking for them at, and all that, if you don't mind. And Chloe first, because I haven't asked her very much.
It's okay. Let's see. I just I finished season 2 of this Netflix show called Trinkets, which is out now, and I co-produced an indie feature called Froth and Bubble, which I also star in, which should be done at some point. It's in post-production right now. So, and my social media, my Instagram is Chloë R. Levine. Some people call me Chloe, but it's really just Chloe R.
Not Chloe.
Not Chloe, but it looks like.
Well, if you were in Boston, they would call you Chloe anyway.
Yeah, true.
It happens. Kimie, what about you? What's going on there?
God, absolutely nothing. I've been doing a lot of Zoom theater and virtual theater in that respect. I'm still very new to the film industry, and I'm hoping to expand further into that, but it's a little slow.
But
and my
Zoom theater, I gotta cut you off there, is a thing. There are so many plays going on, whether or not people realize that, with top level actors all the time.
Yeah, it's and it's a whole different beast as well. It's something that's really important about theater is getting feeling that audience feedback right away, that immediate reaction, and you lose that with Zoom. And then there's also people are in weird delays. It's a whole. There is something magical about it though, because the audience kind of is okay, this is this is the realm we're in, and they also just accept that. And I saw a show where someone's camera just straight cut out. The director came on screen, was like, great, we're just going to skip to the next scene. So it was a show that was vignettes, so it wasn't important to catch that scene. But And then you can find me on Instagram at Kimie Muroya. So Kimie.Muroya. So KIMIE.MUROYA.
Cool. Keith, Kim, either you next.
Oh no, ladies first. Kim Jackson.
Oh, yes. Let's leave the best for last.
Okay, I'll do it then.
No, for sure. Well, listen, Breaker is been around for a few years now. We've had quite a few films that have come out and that are coming out. This one is definitely a highlight for us as we're talking about. We're in post on 2 other films. One we just shot that just wrapped up in the Berkshires. We haven't announced it yet. We shot during COVID. That was an interesting, that was a very interesting process. And we have another one that's in post, and we will be finishing that. That was called The Happy Worker. That one has been a labor of love, and we hope to finish that sometime in January. That stars Thomas Hayden Church and Megan Holder and Josh Whitehouse. And we have a few films that we're distribution partners on that are coming out, a Chinese film called Striding to the Wind. And we have Gasoline Thieves that just came out on Showtime. And another film that premiered at Rotterdam last year that will be hitting the US market sometime in 2021 called La Fortaleza. So we're pretty busy, and it's been a crazy year, but this was sort of the year that a lot of films were coming through to fruition. So we've just been keeping our head down and moving forward and learning how to make movies during a very crazy time. So we've been very fortunate.
Interesting answer there, because it's a lot of projects going on at once. And while it might be slower in some ways for you, the number of projects, it does not sound slower at all.
No, and we also have a media tech division working on a product that it's a accounting product for the media industry that's operated by blockchain. So we have that whole division that's doing their thing. And that's been, going strong. I mean, again, luckily we're in the tech media world. So, focusing our efforts on, technology, fortunately, we were able to do that during this time.
Wow. Well, you said the best for last. I didn't say that, but I'm saying Keith is pretty great and all that. So Keith, what's going on by you, and where can we find you?
I got a couple new projects. One of them is sort of in pre-production. We're wrangling a casting director together, so we're going to start going to outreach to actors for it. It's a little bigger movie than Antarctica, but what isn't? The other things I'm working on. My Instagram is director Keith Bearden, and I also have an OnlyFans account. No, it's just kidding.
We are
gotta make money somehow.
Our Instagram, I forgot to tell you, Darren, our Instagram is We Are Breaker. And so please follow us, and please follow Antarctica Movie as well. And you can see all the updates. And there's going to be, can we say this? There's going to be can we say this? A live, you guys are doing Instagram Live tomorrow at 5 o'clock, Chloë and Kimie. So I don't know when this is coming, but anyway, so that's happening, which is very exciting.
Yes.
And then aside from, again, seeing Antarctica, however you want to say it, can I get a TV recommendation from each of you, and then you'll be on your ways? Besides trinkets, of course, Chloë.
Dairy Girls. I love Dairy Girls. I think it's so funny.
I really think the fall season of The Price is Right is one of the best in years. I'm getting good. I think I could win the boat.
You're a Plinko guy, or what's your Price is Right game specialty?
Yeah, Plinko. Yeah, I mean, Plinko could work for me.
I'm really obsessed with Lovecraft Country. Personally, I think it's quite inventive and super, super interesting and really well acted, and I love that show.
Anything to add to that one, Chloe?
Yeah, I just a little late. It came out a while ago, but I just finished watching The Night of, which is pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
That one is on my wife's list. Thank you guys so much for your time. Congratulations on the film being out, getting great reviews, and looking forward to seeing what everyone's working on next.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Darren.
Thank it's good to see everybody.
Paltrocast.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me okay, Terry?
Yeah.
Well,
How
long
are you,
time
Darren?
fan. Thank you for doing this, and congratulations on Strings Attached. Sounds great to me.
Oh, thank you.
When
Appreciate
did
it.
you come up with the idea versus making it and having it out? What's the timeline there?
We were approached by August Day. The company, God, when was it? I think it was the beginning of 2019.
Mhm.
And we started recording it in the spring of 2019. But we told them that we were releasing Transcendence in August of 2019. So they were kind enough to say, all right, well, we'll wait until, another year, because we were starting our 40th anniversary was last year, and we did the tour and promoted the record, Transcendence. So they said, we'll wait until 2020. So it was recorded and finished last year, but it's coming out now.
In the can for a while there. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, on that wavelength, when I was working full-time at Viacom and VH1, I remember you were on Big Morning Buzz Live, and you were there to promote the new single, and then after that, they made you sing Take My Breath Away. And I was so blown away by how calm you were, taking the direction of like, I know you want to do your new single, but can you also do that? And ever since then, I went, man, do I respect Terri Nunn and all that. Do you, in general, like doing the hits, or is it just necessity?
I do like doing the hits because, when we were starting out, my dream was to be a band like the Rolling Stones. When I saw them last live, they did 2 hours of music that I knew. I knew every fucking song, right? And we're not that. We've only had 7 hits, but
Only
but just I mean just to have songs that people know, and they're excited to hear, that's a big deal. It's not nothing. It takes a lot of work to get any kind of body of work like that. So I appreciate it, and it's cool to watch people, especially with songs like Take My Breath Away or Sex Ima, and just watch what they do while I'm singing it, because then they all go into their own history with that song, and I watch them zone out, and I hear the stories after the shows from them of it was their wedding song, or they had a child then, or it was their first kiss, or, and this is, I understand that, the songs that I grew up loving they're my soundtrack. They matter to me. They are part of my DNA. So it's cool that I'm part of other people's too.
Paltrocast.